guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update a day late on January 30th, 2023. So I just was way too tired last night when I got home from my weekend trip to the coast with my family. We stayed at Seaside, so we stayed around Seaside on Saturday after we had driven in on Friday night. And then Sunday we drove up to Astoria and did some stuff around there. And then came back, and then my brother and I had to leave because we had to work the next day. Everybody else had either time off or they were, you know, they're retired, so they left today. So my brother and I got a shorter weekend, but it was fine. We had fun for what it is. The pass did get snow. It's freezing right now, and today it was not fun, but it did snow a little bit on the Coastal Mountains Pass, and so there was a little snow and ice on the roads over that time. No cat. Cooper. He was gonna attack the door. Anyway, but we made it through. It was a really stressful half hour of me driving. But I made it. My brother and I made it back, and then I was just so tired last night that I actually fell asleep on the couch and didn't have dinner. So, you know, one of those things. It was a fun weekend. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the books that I finished, the books I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. I'm going to be trying to brief about this. I'm not very good at being brief, but I'm going to try because I'm trying to get this out. And also, it's after work, so this is kind of after work Amy, not what we want to see. Anyway, so the first book I finished on Monday, back on the, what was that, the 16th? I don't remember what day we're on, was Lake Silence by Anne Bishop. So this is the first book in the second series of The Others. So this is The World of the Others. So I did talk about this a little bit last weekend because I had started it, I think. So I finished it up on Monday. I really enjoyed this. I love this book. I'm so glad to be that I finally picked up the next series. I put it off because it threw me off because there was a first person POV. We're following Vicky, who in a divorce settlement got this resort on this lake in northern New York, and there's like all these like rules of what she's able to do there, and so she's followed them all. She's been really good. It's now the summer season, and she's about to let people come rent. There's a first renter who's kind of a little odd to her, and again, this is a world of alternate history urban fantasy, but in a rural setting in this book, where there are other creatures called the Others, who are, most of them are shapeshifters of some sort, or a vampire, or elementals, or a lot of other different things. Very, really cool world building in here, because the Others think very differently than humans do. And then the humans, we're getting good humans and bad humans who think they can, you know, put one over on the bad ones, think they can put something over on the Others, while, you know, the good humans are just trying to stay alive because they can be so brutal. This book is fun, but it's also very dark. I just adore these books. The first series, again, starts with Written in Red, and that book follows all of them in one certain community. So this was the first one that's outside that community that has a whole book. And Lake Silence, again, Vicky I really enjoyed her. Even though the first person thing threw me off at first, I'm really glad I came back to this and I read it. I really, really enjoyed this. I don't know, I don't want to say too much because a lot of stuff that happens in here is kind of an aftermath of what happens in the first 5-book series. So I would not start here. I don't think you would understand all the nuances to the world. Again, it's a great urban fantasy, you know, alternate history where the Others rule most of the world, and there's only certain parts of the world where humans are allowed to rule. And so the aftermath of what happened in the first 5 books of the series, in the first part, things happen where, you know, it affects everybody in this one. So I really, really enjoyed this, and I was really glad to finally get to that. So then I finished my audiobook of To Green Angel Tower Part 2 by Tad Williams. So I had the whole audiobook and I read the first part, because again, they split up in paperback. They split it up into 2 books because it's just too big. but the audiobook was all just one. Anyway, but I read the first half last year. So I wanted to make sure I finished my reread of this part before I continue to do more of my rereading to get to the books that I haven't read in the Last King of Osternar series. So this is the last book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy, which I read when they came out. So I've read them about 5 times at least. I'm pretty sure this is my 5th time reading To Green Angel Tower, and it's the one I've read the least. I never remember what happens in this book until I get here, but The Dragonbone Chair which is the first book in the trilogy, starts with Simon, who is a kitchen boy who kind of gets caught up in things beyond his comprehension at first, and as the world kind of takes a darker turn with things going on that, you know, he as a young boy, or, you know, he's like a teenager and things are all happening and he gets kind of caught up in on that. So by this book, so much stuff has happened. It's been just to like, the main part of the story, it starts kind of slow in the first book, like as in just setting the scene, but then after that it's like just over a year of everything that happens. But it's so many characters, so much good world building, and so much stuff goes on. It's a great epic fantasy. I highly recommend this, of course, because it's one of my favorite series of all time. So again, I'm rereading this so that I can get caught up on the series that follows this, which is The Last King of Osternar, which 3 books so far are out in that. So I'm hoping to start reading the rest of that series come like April. I'm going to take a little break because March of the Mammoths, I'm probably going to read some other books that are big books, but I will probably listen to the audiobooks also of the next books. So I am going to continue to also read the novella in between, The Heart of What Was Lost, probably in February. I'm not sure yet, but if I can get to it, I can. If not, I mean, I have it on audio, so I want to listen to it for the first time. As I said, some of these were the first time I listened to the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy by audio. I've read them physically all the other times. So anyway, really, really glad I finally finished that reread so I can continue on. And then I went on to the second book in the World of the Others series, or book 7 in the overall series by Anne Bishop. This is Wild Country. So this one takes us back to a place that we saw in book 5 of the main series, Etched in Bone, and it's a town called Bennett. Sorry, it's Bennett. And things that happened in that book are what happens in here is the aftermath, like directly aftermath of this. So I should have said this is like probably about 9-10 months after everything that happened in the first 5 book series. And then this kind of goes back to just before, or just after, well, just before certain things happened. So that happened in the last book. So it's kind of like we saw part of this story in the last book, and then, you know, we jump away to other stuff that's happening in the series, so we didn't see what happened with them after a certain time period. So this is kind of where there's a lot of people we get to meet. Some of them, again, we met in the first book, and then we get to see more of their story, and then we get to see more characters, and then of course them dealing with their problems of humans dealing with the others. And I really, this is probably not gonna ever be one of my favorite books of the series. I didn't love it quite as much as some of the other ones because of some of the things that happen in here, but it still has a lot of the elements that I love in the series. So I definitely still gave this a 5, but it's like a low 5 compared to, you know, or maybe a 4.75, because there's a couple times where I was like, we didn't have to do that. But a lot of things were fine. Sorry, Cooper just has to be here. Anyway, so, but I'm really glad I finally read this one. So there is a book 3 that is out in Kitten, which is out in hardback right now, but in a little over a week, it'll be out in paperback. I already have it pre-ordered to come in. I hit that Barnes & Noble pre-order sale. Thanks, Kat. Anyway, so I'm going to get the third book, Crow Bones, which takes us back to to like silence and those characters. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping she's going to continue more in this series. Maybe we'll get more from this section, or we'll get more of these, or we'll get another place. I don't know, because it's called The World Together, so it could go anywhere. But I'm excited to get to the third book. But I have now caught up so far, except for the very last book that's out so far in that series. And then the last book that thing that I listened to was, okay, hold on. Hey, why is it sideways when I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. Where's my, that's so weird. I don't know why it did that sideways thing. Anyway, sorry, just off topic. Pendrick's Mission by, Lois McMaster, Bejewel? I cannot say her last name. Anyway, point is that this is book 3 in the Pendrick and Desdemona novella series that takes place in the world of the 5 gods. So, again, I have not read the novels for this year, for this world, but the series, I'm reading them in publication order, that came out that follow Pendrick and his chaos demon Desdemona. And this one, again, takes place quite a few years after the last one. And he's on a mission to another country with some documents that is trying to maybe have one of the generals kind of not switch sides, but come over to this country to help out, because they're not at war. His country's not at war. It would have nothing to do with political things, but things just go wrong right away, and Pendrick is captured as a spy, and it just kind of goes from there. But again, we have the chaos demon. We have Pendrick finding out the repercussions of what happened with how he got pulled into it and things that happened. And it's a good little fantasy novella. This was a little longer than the other two, but I listened to this mostly on Thursday and Friday at work. So I did really enjoy this. Again, this is number 3. So I'll probably read the 4th one. I think it's Maya's, I don't remember, Last Stand or something. Like I don't think it's very long. I don't remember what it is. There's one, and then I'm not sure how it's connected to the series, but it says it was in the publication order that I'm going by. So I'm hoping to pick that up in February at some point. But that series, again, I've really enjoyed the Pendrick series, and I'm glad that I'm going to continue that one. So then let's talk real quick about the books I'm in the middle of. Just to flash, because I haven't read much in it, is Virginia Woolf's The Writer's Diary. I've only read a few more pages. I'm still only about 20 pages into this, so I am going to try to pick this up more often. Last week just wasn't a good week to be reading journal entries from Virginia Woolf. So it just didn't happen. I'm in the middle of 2 books. One of them right now I'm hoping to finish hopefully tonight or tomorrow, which is The Devours by Indra Das? Not sure. So this is a book that takes place in it takes place in India, and there's a timeline that is present tense, and then there's a past tense or past timeline that's like the 1700s, I think. 17 or 1800s. I kind of, it talks about a couple of different time periods, so I'm not quite sure. We might cross into the 1800s at that point. And we're following some very strange beings. One of them comes and tells this professor in the modern timeline that he is a werewolf, or a half werewolf, and he wants this professor to listen to his story, but he wants him to translate or transcribe some scrolls that he has. And then what we're getting is what's on the scrolls, which follows some of these beings who claim to be not human and werewolf-like. So this is a strange book. Super strange book. I read a little bit of it early in last week, and then I put it down going, I'm not sure about this book. I read like 40 pages. And then last night I picked it up again, and I'm like, okay, well, let's try it a little bit again. Because I did read something else a little bit, which I'll explain, but I did want to get back into this. I still think I picked it up because it's one of the books that were kind of weird. and I was in a weird mood last couple weeks. And so I picked this up because it's kind of an odd standalone. It's also in my 23 that I want to read in 2023. So I wanted to try to get 2 done this month. So this would have been the second one. And both of them were kind of weird. So as I said, I'm about 180 pages. So I have about 125 pages left of this book. So I'm hoping to, as I said, I might not get this done tonight. I think that's being ambitious. I'm going to say I'm going to get this done tomorrow, probably. This is not a book that I think is going to have a high rating. I think it's just weird enough that I want to see what happens, but it's not a book that I think I'm going to, you know, keep forever, whatever. And then I have started The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. So this is the first book in the First Law series. I've been wanting to read this for several years. I'm reading this because Beck in the Books is doing her catch-up book club. The first book, The Blade Itself, is January and February's book. So I need to get it done by the end of February, and I decided to pick it up this weekend while I was on vacation. So I got about 118 pages in. So I'm not super far. I mean, not super far, not even a quarter of the way yet. So far, I like it. I think there's most of the world is a very light fantasy. Light magic fantasy, but it's grim dark. There are some kind of horrific things that happen that we hear about or what gets done. But you know, it said most of the guys that we're following so far that I think will follow through the series, I like most of them except for one. I just find him so arrogant that I'm not sure I'm gonna like him at all. But I'm very early in the game, as I said. So far it's really more political stuff going on, and then again, one's a torturer. So there's some bad stuff going on that way too, but it's very interesting. The mysteries kind of going in, all of them have different things going on, and what they're worried about and what they have to deal with. So far it's very character driven, as I've been told. The first book for sure is. I think the whole series is, but I think the first book is very much character driven. So there's not much plot, but we're learning about them as the way this is starting, where they are and the hardships that they all are going through. So anyway, so far so good. Again, I have not read a lot of grimdark, so I wasn't sure about this one. So I do have my audiobook that I'm going to start tomorrow is The Eighth Life. The audiobook is done by Tava Gilbert. I can't say this woman's name. Tino Harat. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard it out loud. I'll have to look it up. This is translated from the German by Charlotte Collins and Ruth Martin. So I have the audiobook, but not for very long. I've had it. I thought I was going to get this started earlier, but because of my vacation, I didn't listen to anything over the weekend. And then today just was not a listening at work day. I was so cold. It was so cold. I actually got those hand warmer little pouches that I had in my pockets all day. It was so cold. My fingers were cold. Anyway, so I just didn't want headphones on my ears. Well, I just didn't want them to vibrate. Maybe they would have been warmer, but I was just thinking about the vibration. Anyway, so I'm hoping to start this tomorrow and see how that goes. As I said, all I know about this is historical fiction following a family, starting from the early 20th century on the edge of the Russian Empire, and it's how a family prospers and probably other things happen as well. So anyway, I want to do that. Oh, hold on. I forgot one. Sorry. I totally forgot one. It was on my other stack. But I'm going to be reading Sweep With Me by Ilona Andrews with Tea and All the Books. We're reading this on the Innkeeper Chronicles. We've been reading them since last fall, and we've been into the winter. So we're trying to get to the end of what's out already published, you know. So this is the novella. So this is 4.5. So I have no idea what it's about. I'm guessing we're back with Dina, and again, it's really short, so we're just going to do it in 2 days because it's about 116 pages, I think. So 112, something like that. It's like really short. So as I said, I think we're going to breeze through this, in 2 days. So that'll be my first finish of February probably. but I'm hoping to do that. And then the last thing is I do have one library book that I might try to get to after I finish The Blade itself, after I finish The Devours, after I finish Sweep With Me. And that is In the House in the, In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Laird Hunt. So I saw this at the library when I went to pick up some other books. It was sitting on their recommendations thing. So I picked it up because I have been wanting to read this. It has to do with a woman who goes to pick berries and something happens where I'm not sure if she gets kidnapped or she just leaves. And then it's kind of the aftermath of that. I'm not sure. I hear it's weird. That's about all. And again, I'm in a weird book mood. Not all of them working out, but I wanted to try this one. And I did pick it up from the library. So if I get to it, I get to it. If not, I'm not worried. But it is one I do want to try. Anyway, so that is all the books. Just really, really quickly. Because I'm not doing very good on keeping it short, am I? Anyway, the point is that book-wise that I finished, I did do a reread with To Green Angel Tower. I'm going to count that. It also was over 700. It was almost 800. So I'm going to count that. One of the, I'm going to say The Worldly Others, I'm going to say start because, that's a separate, it's part of the whole other series, but it's a offshoot. So I'm going to say that's a start. And then I did the continue. What else did I read? Oh, Pendrick I continued as well. And that was, is that everything? Oh, and one of the, was it Wild Country or Lake Silence? One of them was, maybe it was, I think it was, yeah, it was Wild Country was actually over 500 pages. So I also get to mark 1 for that. So that is it. I didn't hit any of the other stuff. Nope, I don't think so. So anyway, I didn't. I'm working on my series, which is great. I'm chugging along. I keep starting too many books at the same time. So I'm trying to clear out again this week clear out all the books so that February I'm kind of starting with new books, but we'll see how that goes. I do have one book that's carrying over, a fantasy that again has been carrying over for a while. So we'll get to that. But other than that, that is it. Cooper is here. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's Cooper. My brain, it's like slightly darker in here today, so I couldn't tell. His little tail is ringed and the other one is not. Anyway, point is that Truman was in here earlier, but Cooper's the one making all the mess. Anyway, okay, I am just rambling. Anyway, so sorry about this being late, but again, vacation, things happen, and I'm mostly normally on time, but not today. Anyway, so I hope what are you guys reading? Anything good? Anything that you, are really enjoying, let me know, and I will talk to you guys later.